So again, chapter 2 on pre-calc 11, lesson 5, solving rational equations. So what we need to do here is the way I do it, I multiply everything by the common denominator. And here it's going to be 12. The lowest common denominator is 12. So I'm going to multiply everything by 12. Now remember, when you multiply this by 12, the 12 only multiplies to the top. So if it multiplies to the top, it's better to go, like you get 12x here over 4. So you know you're going to be 12 divided by 4 is 3. So you'll end up with 3x minus. When you multiply this to the top, it's going to reduce with the 6 and it's going to leave you with 2. So you'll have 2x plus 3. And then when you multiply this to this, the 12 and the 3 will reduce, will give you 4. And that would be 4 times x minus 3. Now, just simplify 2x plus minus 6 because that's a sign changer. 4x minus 12. Move everything to one side, equate it to 0. Or maybe what? Let's move the x's to this side and move the numbers to this side. So we have 3x minus 2x, moving the 4x to this side, left side becomes minus 4x. We have negative 12 still on the right side. We're moving the negative 6 to this side, becomes plus 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. X equals, that gives you negative 6. Divide both sides by negative 3 by negative 3. X equals 2. Check. You could always go back and test it here to make sure it works, but you could do that on your own. I'm going to move on to the next question. The second example, the first thing we need to find is my non-permissible values or my restrictions. So we know x cannot equal 0 plus or minus 1 because that would make the bottoms 0 and we cannot have 0 on the bottom of a fraction. So now once you know what your non-permissible values are, once you solve, if one of the answer turned out to be one of these, then you have to reject it because it's extraneous, it doesn't work. So again, the way I do this kind of questions, I multiply everything by the lowest common denominator. And here is going to be x and 1 minus x and x plus 1. So all of them are the common denominator. Now, if I you multiply the common denominator to every term in here. So if I take this and multiply it to this, the x plus 1 will cancel with the x plus 1. And therefore, you'll end up with 2x 1 minus x. So the only thing that gets multiplied into the 2 is this and this. Equals, now if I multiply this into here, the 1 minus x will cancel with the 1 minus x. Remember, when you multiply this to this, you only multiply it to the top. And so if you have this on top, the 1 minus x and the 1 minus x will cancel. And that's why you could just write 3x and x plus 1 plus 5. And if you multiply this to this term right here, the x's would cancel. And therefore, the 5 will be multiplied by the 1 minus x and the x plus 1. It's very simple. If you just look at it again and you say, okay, if I multiply this into here, the x plus 1 is going to cancel with the x plus 1. And that way, you don't have to deal with fractions anymore. Some of you like to do common denominator for everything and cancel all the denominators. That's fine. You know, in math, it's not one way that gets you the answer, whatever you're comfortable with. But for me, this is very easy. I multiply the common denominator on all of them, and that will cancel the denominators right away for me. So here we're just gonna go ahead and simplify further. So now we're gonna get 2x minus 2x squared equals 3x squared plus 3x plus 5, and I'm going to open brackets. I'm going to start foiling this. I'm going to get x plus 1 minus x squared minus x. It's negative x, and this x is going to cancel. Now, this is 2x minus 2x squared equals 3x squared plus 3x plus 5 minus 5x squared. I'm just distributing the 5 here and there. That's a 5. Now, at this stage, you're going to move everything to one side, equate it to 0. So that's 3 minus 5x squared. Maybe let me just simplify it further before I go there. So you students won't get confused. 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. Move everything to one side. D. This is going to cancel with this, as a matter of fact. When you move to the side, it becomes positive, so they cancel each other out. So I'm just going to move the x's therefore. So 2x minus 3x equals 5. That becomes negative x equals 5. Divide both sides by -1, and you get x to equal -5. File an answer, check, and we'll go to the next example. As a matter of fact, -5 works because it's not in the non-permissible values or the restrictions. So we'll move on to the next question.